Your sketchbook is the best tool for making real progress in watercolor and growing your skills effectively. In today's video, I will share 5 of my all-time favorite tried and true methods for using Sketchbook Sessions to supercharge your watercolor skills. These are the same strategies I've used over the years to learn how to paint small, detailed elements like these leaves in the relaxed environment of my sketchbook before scaling up to larger pieces like this one. Whether you're just starting out with watercolor this year or are already well along on your artistic journey, these tips will help you transform your practice into intentional growth and unlock your creative potential. So let's dive right in. I'll be using my Etcher cold pressed square sketchbook, but you can grab your favorite paper, cold pressed, hot pressed, or whatever feels right in your hands. Just one golden rule, let's make sure it's 100% cotton. Why? Because only pure cotton paper will allow your watercolors to truly shine, blending beautifully and showcasing their full range of effects. And the first rule I always follow whenever I want to really see some growth and improve my watercolor skills is to use my sketchbook sessions to reveal my challenges without aiming for perfection. What I mean by that is I'm starting out with a simple subject, some holly leaves. I've only painted them once before in my life, but now I want to really master it and later incorporate them into a much more complex composition. I just don't know how at this stage. So I'm going to stumble through and try many different approaches and many different color combinations, really noticing where I struggle the most. Not striving for perfect painting at this stage is super important because it removes the anxiety we all feel when we're faced with a blank page. The only goal right now is to really observe your own process and notice the main stumbling blocks so we can explore and solve these issues step by step on the next page. And based on my experience, no matter what your skill level is when it comes down to watercolor and tackling new subjects, the 3 main challenges you will likely face are which colors to use, and I'm not entirely convinced yet that the colors I picked really capture the essence of what I see in my reference photo. I will give you the list of everything I used in just a minute. Number 2 is what techniques to apply, and there's so many different ways to paint the same thing. If you recall the leaf tutorial we did a few months ago, you know I came up with like 7 or 8 techniques just for one leaf shape, and I bet there are many more. I'm not sure yet which one would work best here. I'm trying different layering approaches, but we will figure it out by the end of this video. And finally, you will likely need to figure out how to capture the smaller details. In this case, the intricate veins and highlights on these very glossy holly leaves. I've painted this yellow bird before, so I'm much more confident about the process. I know exactly what works and what doesn't, and I'm really just flying through it. Next week, I will do a full tutorial on this bird here on YouTube and on Patreon if you want to see the real-time recording. But for now, I'm just doing the first layer using benzo yellow, sap green, and indigo. And I'm also analyzing where I struggled the most on the leaves, so we can tackle these issues on a separate page. Which leads me to rule number 2, always try different colors and different color mixes on the same subject in your sketchbook. Before you commit to a specific palette, take the time to explore different color combinations. For example, when I'm doing the next leaf study on the opposite page, I first test blue and green pigments straight from the tube on the right-hand side, starting with a pure blue underpainting, and here I'm using phthalo blue green shade. But on the left, I decided to experiment with a more traditional watercolor approach by mixing yellow and blue to create a more natural, subdued range of greens. Here I used benzo yellow and indothrone blue. For now, I'm using a very diluted version of this mixture, somewhere around value 4 or 5 if you recall the value scale. But in the second layer, I will use the same mix of yellow and blue, but much more concentrated to paint the shadows. Then back to the right side, I tested pure Perylene Green. This pigment from Daniel Smith contains black, so I'm using it straight from the tube to come up with a more moody shadow green. Turning back to the left side, once again I'm only mixing yellow and blue, but this time using less water and a lot more of my Indothrone blue to arrive at a similar moody bluish green, and this helps me accentuate the shadows and the overall silhouette of the leaf. And then I added a glaze of green gold on the veins and burnt sienna on the tips. Still not satisfied with either palette, I also tried aqua green, it's a turquoise-like color from Winsor & Newton, as my base, and then followed by charging more saturated version of this color around the tips. On the right-hand side, I used a much warmer Hooker's green as a base with aqua green and almost black indigo for the dark shadows. Testing combinations like these really helps you understand how different colors interact and how to create the mood or effect you want. It's all about trial and error, so don't be afraid to explore and use whatever you have on your palette. Rule number 3 is to explore different watercolor techniques on the same subject. So I always use my sketchbook to really push myself to try a variety of approaches, everything from complex layering, lifting, blooms, to more traditional wet-on-wet techniques. And on the next holly leaf, instead of layering my paint like I did before and leaving the highlights without any color, I decided to apply lifting technique, meaning I used a damp brush, push the fresh paint off the surface of my paper, revealing softer highlights. I'm not really happy with it here. I don't think it captures the essence of the glossy leaves. I kind of need sharper highlights, but it was definitely worth a try, and I might apply this effect on a different plant. By experimenting with different methods, you'll understand how each technique behaves with the pigments you're using and what effect you're trying to achieve. Plus, you'll discover what works best for your style. And on the next leaf, I tried a completely different approach using so-called granulating or super granulating watercolors, Cascade Green and Green Appetite Genuine. Both are from Daniel Smith and both contain heavier particles of paint compared to traditional translucent watercolors. You can create incredible textures with these pigments. Just add a little bit of color and then add a clear drop of water. It's going to push the particles of paint out, creating these gorgeous areas of texture. I'll leave the links to both of these pigments in the video description below, but again, I don't think it's quite perfect for the holly leaves, so I'll reserve them for more traditional greenery and tell you about rule number 4, and that is to draw and paint the same subject from different angles. This one's huge and will have an enormous impact on the speed of your learning and your comfort with watercolor medium or any medium for that matter. So notice how many different leaves I sketched out here, all from very busy reference photo I have. And by doing multiple studies like these, you not only get more familiar with your subject, but you'll also notice the nuances you might have missed at first or if you only paint something once, particularly when it comes to the light and shadow. Plus, it will become second nature to paint that object, that leaf or that flower, and you'll gain a much deeper understanding of its structure. People always ask me how I'm able to just freehand and draw certain flowers or birds without any reference, and that's because I've spent hours drawing and painting them from different angles, and you will be surprised how quickly you too will master a flower, an animal, or portrait by doing multiple quick studies from different angles in your sketchbook. I can't recommend this enough. And again, don't strive for perfection. Just set a timer for 5 to 10 minutes and focus on capturing the essence of your subject on a small scale like this, without worrying too much about details. Quick studies of different angles push you to work more intuitively, which builds confidence and speed in your painting. The more you practice these, the quicker you'll get at making decisions and adapting to any challenge in your watercolor work. In the next set of leaves, I finally arrived at a color combination and a technique that I'm satisfied with. I did this by using phthalo green, 2 versions, phthalo green blue shade and phthalo green yellow shade. Both are from Winsor & Newton. And I also added some Indothrone blue on the tips. The method I used here is more traditional wet-on-wet technique with some minimal layering. Not exactly my preferred method. I typically apply several layers to build color transitions, but here I was really inspired to go back to fundamentals. And so I used clear water to pre-wet my paper and then drop the color in around the edges. The result is a classic watercolor gradient with irregular leaf silhouettes, creating a lot of variation and visual interest. I add veins using the tip of my brush and more saturated pigment while the surface is still wet. This is called wet on damp, which is a variation on wet technique. It's very useful for subtle organic details, and we've covered it several times in botanical tutorials. And that brings me to rule number 5 for improving your watercolor skills in your sketchbook. And that is to study and imitate other artists. One of the quickest ways to grow as an artist is by studying the work of others you admire. You don't need to copy them exactly, but trying out different brushwork, different techniques, color choices, or compositions can teach you so much. For me, it was all about rediscovering techniques I already knew but hadn't used in a while, and remembering why they work so well. You can also take a piece of art that inspires you and interpret it in your own style. That's another way of doing it. Over the holiday break, I found myself watching a lot of amazing watercolor painters here on YouTube, and I will list some of my favorites in the description so you can check them out. And seeing their work really inspired me to try something different, to go back to a more classic watercolor style with less controlled layers and just letting the paint flow more intuitively. I have to say, I'm really happy with how the last set of leaves turned out. And I'm going to use this method for the larger composition I'm working on. So now that I've figured out how to paint the holly leaves, I'm going to go back and finish the bird. Let me know in the comments below which way you enjoyed the most and what color combination was your favorite. This bird, along with 2 cardinals and a whole bunch of holly leaves, is our Patreon tutorial for this month. So if you want to paint with me in real time, hear detailed explanations of each technique and each color application I use, and of course get the black and white outlines, you can join me there. And remember to take a moment after each sketchbook session to reflect on your progress. Think about what worked well and what you can improve on next time. You can even write down some notes in your sketchbook about the techniques you tried, the colors you used, or any challenges you faced. This practice will really help you track your improvement so you can see how far you've come and what you'd like to focus on in your next sketchbook session. As always, thank you for watching and painting with me. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends who love art, and I will see you next week with more watercolor magic.